Hi, my name is Sarah and welcome to Project Write. In this lesson, I'm going to talk to you about writing a style of poetry that is called free verse. Now, free verse is exactly that. It should be very free without a lot of rules. However, sometimes we find that kid writers or child authors like to have a few parameters or a few rules to help them along the way. So I have a formula that I like to use to help kids write free verse poems. And these free verse poems can be very beautiful. They can tell a tiny story or they can give a little snippet of our lives. They are beautiful poems. So I would like to go with you step by step through a free verse poem using a type of template to help guide you. Okay, get ready. This is lesson 3 in the series of poetry. Also, I should mention that you would definitely want to be familiar with the beginning writers lessons because I'm going to pull from those lessons for so many things. So if you haven't done flip-flop sentences and you haven't written 3-word combinations, I would say before you go forward with this lesson, you go back to the beginning writer series and you take in those lessons first, okay? All right, see you soon. All right, in free verse, in this particular style or this particular template that I'm giving you, I have 3 separate sets of directions. So the first set of directions are write a flip-flop sentence with a simile. Okay? The second set of directions are write a quote that is either a thought or a form of dialogue. Include a 3-word combination if you can. Consider alliteration, and remember, alliteration is when all the letters start with the same first letter, or all the words, I should say, start with the same first letter. Okay, now the third section, or the third part of this type of free verse poem is write a mini story that begins with any of the following: one day, one time, sometimes, once, once upon a time. You're going to pick the beginning of the end that suits your writing. So whatever you're writing about, you pick that word or phrase that kind of goes along with it. Okay, here we go. Here are some examples of free verse poems that I've written following these parameters. Okay, the first poem, written in blue, is a poem about my son Nate. Nate has autism and struggles dearly with communication. So in that very first line, I write, playing Subway Surfer like a true savant, I watch you earn millions and millions of points. So the playing Subway Surfer is the flip-flop sentence. Look at that word in the very beginning that starts or ends with ing. And playing his Subway Surfer like a true savant is my simile. In the second part, I give my quote. I whisper in your ear, Nate, my brilliant, beautiful boy, you are so talented. So, brilliant, beautiful boy is my 3-word combination, and I was lucky enough in this instance that I could do it with alliteration. Everything started with a B. The last section of this free verse poem is the mini story, and for this I picked one day. One day I dream of hearing you and everything you've ever wanted to tell me, you will tell me. One day, my sweet boy, I will hear you. Today, I see you. I gave you one more example, and this poem is about our time on the soccer fields as a family, which we have spent quite a bit of time on the soccer fields. So, starting with my flip-flop sentence and a word that ends in ing, and also using a simile, saving the ball like a beast. I will never forget watching you play goalie and the joy it brought our family. Here I come in with my quote, and I'm just thinking to myself, reflecting. I think to myself, look at these boys. Nate in top soccer, Nate running to score. Go Nate! Ryan helping as a big brother buddy. Oh, there's my three-word combination again with alliteration, and I forgot my comma right there. Writer troubles. All right, I'll go back and add that later. Ryan refereeing. Ryan coaching little tots. Don't wake me up. Can this last forever? And then I throw in a mini story, and this time I used sometimes. Sometimes I wish it would last forever, but nothing lasts forever. No childhood, and definitely not soccer. Perhaps if I don't get to be a soccer mom anymore, I will one day be a soccer grandmom. So those are two examples to kind of help you with the directions and the formula for writing your own free verse poem. Okay, that's it. You just have to really get practice and get used to putting a poem together like this. It's more like a snippet or a small story. They're really beautiful if they're written about nature. I have one that I've written about leaves falling in the fall, and I used a hot air balloon to kind of describe the leaves floating down to the ground. There's so many things that are beautiful that you can do with this style. And then after you play around with this style, maybe you'll feel more free and more willing to go out kind of on your own and branch out and try to use some, I think it's figurative language and it's beauty and maybe even some rhythm and rhyme when you're playing around with free verse and you're writing a style that doesn't always have rules. Okay? So it's just up to you. It's time to play, it's time to write, figure it out. Pick something that's on your mind or pick something that's really neat about your life and put it into this free verse template and see how it goes. All right, guys, have fun.